Today we're studying about the Texas Revolution, Part 3. The Convention of 1836. When? March 1st, 1836. Where? Washington on the Brazos. When the meeting began, many wanted to leave and join the fight at the Alamo. However, Houston said forming a government to direct the war effort was more important, so they stayed. The Declaration of Independence of Texas. George Childress was the author of the Declaration of Independence for Texas. It was patterned after the Declaration of Independence the United States had written. The Constitution of the Republic of Texas was also modeled after the United States Constitution because many of the framers or writers had been born in the United States. One major benefit is that it did not require Texans to be Catholic. In other words, they had freedom of religion. One major problem is that it forced free African Americans to petition or ask permission of the government to become a citizen. This took effect September of 1836. Ad interim government. Interim means temporary. The president was David Burnett. The vice president was Lorenzo de Zavala. The government had to run so they would not be captured by Santa Anna, and thus causing the loss of any hope for Texas to have independence. In other words, if Santa Anna had captured him, he would have won. San Jacinto, April 21st, 1836. The epic fail of Santa Anna. Basically, first of all, he assumed that Houston had given up. Then he moved to the coast of the Wait. These are his mistakes. 1. He sent 1,000 of his best soldiers to capture Texas government. He then moved his troops behind a ridgeline so he couldn't see Houston's army. Then he allowed his men to take a siesta or a nap in the middle of the day. Texas advantages. Texans had high ground. Texans were also hidden by trees. The Mexican army was trapped with only one way out. San Jacinto continued. Houston called for a war council, which is a meeting of army leaders at noon. Houston and his 900 men attacked Santa Anna's 1,300 during their nap, shouting the battle cries, "Remember the Alamo! Remember Goliad!" The battle lasted 18 minutes. The Texans had won their independence, but where was Santa Anna? After the battle, there were 630 Mexican deaths, 730 imprisoned Mexicans, 9 Texan deaths. Houston was wounded in the ankle, but he survived. Santa Anna disguised himself as a common soldier, but was brought back into the camp as a captured person, and his soldiers gave him away on accident by recognizing him as their president and leader. With the capture of Santa Anna, the war was over. Treaties of Velasco. Texans agreed to release Santa Anna later when they felt like it. Mexico would surrender and never come back. Mexico would recognize Texas as a free nation. The Rio Grande, not the Nueces River, was the border between Texas and Mexico. The release of Santa Anna. Santa Anna was released when Sam Houston sent him to meet with President Andrew Jackson. There was really no peace, and they never really agreed on a border, and Mexico never recognized Texas. Mexico refused to accept the treaties of Velasco because Santa Anna signed it while he was a prisoner. And that is the end of our discussion today. Thank you so much for your time. And as Miss Patterson says, hope you learned something new today. Bye.